Breaking the fourth wall. It's a concept that has been present in most to not say all forms of entertainment. Everyone's guilty of it. In fact, I could do it right now. How's your day? Have you eaten yet? Why don't you like and subscribe? The concept of the fourth wall itself was given a written definition in 1758 when Denis Diderot, a notable philosopher, critic, and dramatist, said that the fourth wall is an imaginary barrier that separates an audience from the three dimensions of the stage it faces. But the fourth wall was being broken way before that. The description of the fourth wall as the invisible screen that forever separates the audience from the stage didn't exist in ancient Greece or the Renaissance. In fact, I don't think they knew what a wall was back then. Plays from this period had frequent direct addresses to the audience, from little glances to the audience for comedic effect in Commedia dell'arte, to actually addressing the audience in some of the characters' soliloquies. Basically, having the character vent to the audience. This was great as it established a connection between the performer and the audience. The fourth wall is a convention that was established in the modern realistic theater from the 19th century, give or take. And drawing attention to it for a dramatic or comedic effect breaks it, breaking immersion as you're suddenly reminded you're not in there with the characters, you're just watching a play. Or playing a game. This isn't a concept that fits in just the world of theater. Video games can have fourth wall breaks too. In fact, the entirety of the Stanley Parable altogether is just a compilation of fourth wall breaks. But there are other examples apart from that. We have stuff like Psycho Mantis reading your PS1 memory card and...
I can see into your mind. So, you like Suikoden?
Judging your gaming tastes as part of his mind-reading act. We've also got Scarecrow in Batman Arkham Asylum toying directly with any gamer's worst fear.
Did anyone catch the game last night?
We've also got Wheatley pointing out that this is the part where he kills you.
Well, this is the part where he kills us.
Hello, this is the part where I kill you. Had a bit of a brainwave, there I was.
And then there's Eternal Darkness Sanity's Requiem, pretending it deleted your save file. But the most prominent examples of the fourth wall breaks in video games can be boiled down to two games. I'm Scared and Doki Doki Literature Club. I'm Scared is a hit in the horror indie game scene. Well, it was popular in like 2016, but who cares? I'm Scared is a surrealist first-person horror experience by Ivan Zanotti that has a pretty unique pixelated aesthetic where you do the classic horror game thing of finding keys. Before the game starts proper, there's a screen that warns you that the executable will create and alter documents in your desktop, which can give you clues to some puzzle or just serve as small creepy things to make you feel unsafe even when the game is closed. This is a more streamlined version of the same concept we can find in Luna.exe. Luna was a creepypasta game, just like those recreations of Sonic.exe and Bent Round. But what Luna did is that once the scares were done, the game would create thousands of copies of the same image on your computer, even setting it as your desktop wallpaper. Meanwhile, the other creepypasta games, you could just close them when the spooks were over, really. There wasn't much to them. The most famous example of a fourth wall break in a video game isn't quite a fourth wall break. Yeah, sorry, I lied. Instead, it's a meta-narrative, since the fourth wall is completely demolished after a chapter or two. Of course, I'm talking about Doki Doki Literature Club. I could completely dissect this game, but I'd much rather just give you a little rundown of what matters in the context of this video. So, that being said, if you still haven't played it or heard about it, Consider this a very major spoiler warning. Please click off the video now unless you really want to have the whole game spoiled. Okay, you have been warned. Doki Doki presents a facade. You play the main character, who has joined the literature club, which is composed of 4 cute, unique girls, the love interest of this game. Well, 3 of them, since Monica is completely out of your league. Sorry, pal. You get to choose who to talk to, who to hang out with for special events, and who to write your poems for, using words that cater to the personality of each girl to compose something through a really cute minigame. And that's how the game is, at least until the end of the first act. Then, things start to get strange. Real strange. The second act plays just like the first one, but one of the girls has been completely wiped from the game, like she's never existed. And throughout the second act, the personalities of the girls are tampered with. They become more exaggerated, cartoonish, to the extreme, until they're completely out of control, and then the curtain is pulled and everything is revealed. All the girls are deleted, except for Monica. Nobody else but Monica. Just Monica. Just Monica. Just Monica. What Doki Doki did was spice up the average visual novel / dating sim game by adding a character that's self-aware, on top of also having that character be omnipotent with complete control over the game. The game, when I played it, put a question in my head. Are characters in dating sims just there to be options? Is it pick a partner? Like, are they just objects for us to oogle over and be like, I must date her, based on just her design as we furiously click trying to choose the correct options to please this fictional character? Well, yeah. Yes, they are. It's a sort of contained fantasy. The longing to experience that kind of relationship that's often seen in rom-coms and romance novels. To have those perfect dates. To have that person that makes life better. Back then, you used to do that through romance novels, putting yourself in the skin of that protagonist, but now, you can just stare at pixels and click. Ah, the wonders of modern technology.
Hey, nature! I really get ready right. Hey, nature! Anyone give me to it?
A game like Sucker for Love also plays with this concept, because you're doing these obscene, gruesome rituals, dooming humanity forever, just to get a smooch from this eldritch cutie.
You wish to be the first human to be destroyed, yes? So that you are spared from the cataclysm I shall wreak upon all life. Eh? What?
And I mean, who wouldn't? I definitely would. I'm not a simp at all. I'm just... okay, I'm doing humanity just because,
Pucker up, my darling. You've earned it.
Okay, yeah. I simped. But that's not what I want to talk about. It's the idea of the self-aware character, the thing that drew me into Doki Doki. And lucky for me, there's a newer game that toys with that same exact idea more than Doki Doki ever did. Reflexia. Prototype version. It's a game created by Mahao Maven, who is a co-creator of that one game. Milk outside a bag of 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 milk. Now, I'll just start by saying I really wish I had more to talk about when it comes to this game, because it doesn't have much. It's a kind of bare bones experience for what it is, but even in the state that it is now, this game has juice. It has layers. So I do have stuff to talk about, but not enough to make this video a gazillion hours long like the last one. but thankfully there's a remake on the horizon. We just don't know if it's near or not, but it's on the horizon, which means someday. But anywho, let's commence. We can start by already establishing two things. First thing, you can play this in various languages, including Catalan.
Hòstia, pilotes! Oh, que són de bones! M'encanten! Bé, fordeix que vaig comptar condiments,
And the second thing is that this game has no fourth wall at all. As soon as you click Start on the menu, the protagonist greets and addresses you directly. Not some character that works as some sort of vessel for you to get involved in the story, hell no. You, the person playing this, behind the screen, the individual watching this shitty video. This is the first game where your choices actually matter, just like advertised. Unlike some other games that say they've got important choices. In fact, telling the protagonist something that'd be completely innocent and without consequence in any other visual novel like, you sound a bit like a yandere, will cause her to completely shift her personality and style to fit that idea of the yandere archetype, even changing her name from protagonist to Yandere-chan. All choices matter, except asking her if to become part of your Yuri harem. That'll never happen. Also asking her for the colors of her panties. You can do that apparently. The protagonist is aware of everything from the first moment. She knows this is just a game, and that as soon as you close the game, she is going to cease to be. Yet, despite knowing this, she still goes on, talks to you, and advances the date. In fact, that's said in the game's Steam page. The protagonist spends her days cooped up inside, sinking countless hours into erogues. She would have ended up bored to death eventually if one day she wasn't teleported into a visual novel. Of course, something like that isn't exactly a good situation for a young lady. Not only will you be privy to all of her shameless thoughts, you'd also demand entertainment from her. Isn't that why you came to read this story? Seems like she will now, at the very least, need to go outside to buy groceries, because no matter where she goes, the plot will await her. So what we can gather from this is that our protagonist has been sucked into the game like it's Seo. Before this, she was a lonely, isolated girl from the world, as she spent her days and restless nights playing every single BL, GL, Nookie G, and Naki J game under the sun, wrapped in the warm cocoon of her dark room, hopelessly yearning for something like the characters in those games. But that doesn't matter anymore. She's got what she wanted. She gets to be the girl who is charmed in the game. She gets to be the girl of your dreams. She gets to be hopelessly devoted to you. What we're getting isn't a character written for this. A character made to fit in the context of the dating sim visual novel. We're getting someone who has consumed fucking thousands of them and who is ready and eager to become just like any of those characters that, like we've already established, just exist to be options, nothing else. Say, someone consuming a ton of a certain genre and believing they're a part of that reminds me of a certain piece of a universal literature. I'll just say I wasn't expected to talk about Don Quixote in any of these videos, but hey, Spanish pride, am I right?
Lo siento. Es decir, somos los mejores en literatura. Nadie tiene un Quijote. No lo podréis tener jamás. En ninguna otra lengua podréis tener jamás un Quijote. Es imposible. No tenéis lengua para escribir un Quijote.
Hail Cervantes. So, Don Quixote, or Don Quixote, as you fucking psychos call him, is the main character of the adventures of Don Quixote. And the main thing with him is that he's unhinged, he is insane, he is not lucid. He thinks he's a hero, but he's not. Basically, This man has read so many cavalry novels that he completely went off his rocker and started to believe that he was a knight, just like in those novels. Basically the 17th century version of the literary me archetype. Don Quixote's adventures, quote-unquote, include fighting off giants, which were actually just windmills, courting his dear-beloved princess, who was a whore, literally, and getting into fights and trouble all around for no reason whatsoever. I am not saying the protagonist in Reflexia is absolutely crazy like Don Quixote, though. She does seem to have some issues, though. Especially what I'm seeing as someone who has never taken a psychology class in their life, and is probably incorrectly guessing, is that this is a clear lack of affection, of touch, of any kind of relationship, maybe. Maybe even isolation and depression if we're daring. She finds a purpose in being one of these characters and playing the role of a love interest. She's lost. She loses herself in this role, so much that we don't even know her name. She shifts to our will, becoming the perfect love interest for us with the sole purpose of being loved. The protagonist, like I've already said, plays these erogue games in her dark room, yearning for something like that, just like I said earlier in the video, about how we play dating sims for that idealized image of love. So yeah, there's the thesis I extracted. It's a self-aware game that takes the essentials of dating sims and visual novels, the typical elements if we can call them that, and turns them on their head, shifting the meaning of everything. It lures you in, making you think that this is just another one of them romantic visual novels, and bam, ends up leaving you with a bit of an existential crisis. And that's where the average video essayist would leave it. A long-ass, gap-intensive session. But thinking it over, I was right saying it's a bit far-fetched. Here's a more digestible and easy-to-follow summary. Reflexia is this girl's inner conflict. She's at a point in her life where she needs to find out who she is and what love is about. It's a deconstruction of all of these erogue and anime archetypes, and a simple justification that these games are just there to be games. You can't win someone over with a date and some sweet talk most time, and someone's personality can't just be summarized into a word like yandere, dandere, or whatever. Real people, real feelings, real issues that can't be put bluntly or simply on the table. Reflexia is built to reflect on who we are. I'd say it's a search for identity. It's definitely something unique, and I can't wait for the remake and what kind of unexpected turns it takes. I adore this game, and the game's by the dev. This is amazing. But anyways, I'm gushing. There's Reflexia. There have been a few games coming out lately that have been doing similar things, revolutionizing what a visual novel can be and how much we can experiment with the fourth wall. A Date with Death, Lace's Wardrobe, and Slay the Princess come to mind with all the divergent paths and, well, fourth wall fucking demolitions. I might be completely wrong and this whole video might have no worth, but I tried, I experimented, and I don't regret it. The only regret I had with this video is that before starting, I was blissfully ignorant as to what erogue games were, and I wish I could go back to that. But anyways, this has been my, I guess video essay, fuck it. I've been Roth, and I will see you on the next one.